on November 20th. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Will Miss Pilar Kelly lead us in Pledge of Allegiance?
Me?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Let the roll call show that Mr. Jewett, Ms. Arenas, and Mr. Zaragoza are here from the board. Ms. Young and Ms. Ferguson are absent. The members of cabinet are all present. I'd like to welcome everyone to tonight's meeting and remind the audience of the request to address board cards that must be completed and submitted to the board secretary if they wish to speak to an agenda item. Our board policy provides for 2 cards: white cards to be submitted in order to speak to an agenda item, and blue cards to be submitted in order to speak during public comments. Policy also states that there is a 5-minute maximum time limit per speaker. Due to open meeting law, board members are not allowed to address items that are not on the agenda. If you do not want to address the board but wish to give your comments in writing, you can do so on a goldenrod sheet, and all members will receive a copy. Approval of agenda.
I move the governing board approve the agenda as printed.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Approval of minutes from the October 30th meeting.
I move the governing board approve the minutes as submitted.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes. Public comments. Thank you. Dr. Boyle, superintendent's report, please.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here at our governing board meeting this evening. Several meetings ago, I reported that we had submitted several nominations to the Arizona School Board Association for in nomination for their Golden Bell Awards for promising practices and programs. We just recently received a letter from the Arizona School Boards Association, and I quote, "It is our pleasure to inform you that Academic Parent-Teacher Teams, APTT, was awarded a first place honors by the judges in the district-wide category and has been selected to receive the 2012 ASBA Golden Bell Award. In addition, ASBA is requesting that all first place winners present at the annual conference to promote recognition for your excellent program. And they will receive, the Creighton School District will receive the award at the ASBA Golden Bell Awards Luncheon on Thursday, December 13th at the Biltmore Conference Center on Missouri, Phoenix. So it gives me great pleasure to provide that information for you this evening. Also, as I was preparing to come to the board meeting this evening, I noticed that I had to approve some absences. So when I went onto our website, I saw that there was an article that was just posted today by the Huffington Post by Jack Jennings, posted at 1:10 p.m. This afternoon, and it's entitled "Making Neighborhood Schools Better: Hard Work, Not Magic." And this is a information about Creighton School District. So there are some copies back there, but also you could, if you were interested, go online or go to our website to read this article. It talks about our association with the Ellis Center and with WestEd. So it's a very positive article about Creighton School District, the hard work and not the magic. And Of course, at our last board meeting, we were waiting for results of the elections on November 6th. What I'd like to report to you this evening is that for 2013, we will have 2 new governing board members, Jeannie Simons and Annette Sexton Ruiz. We also, I'd like to report, although I'm hoping that most of you know, that we do have a vacancy on the board. By law, the Maricopa County Schools appoint the school governing board members, Dr. Donald Colby, the superintendent. There's a process and procedures on filling that vacancy, and the vacancy will be filled according to nomination procedures and processes. I just received information from the Maricopa County Educational Service Agency that superintendents with vacancies are invited to a meeting to receive the new procedures and processes on December 5th. As soon as we receive that information, we have a communicator going out, and we will also post that on our website. At that point, we will wait until our January meeting when a governing board president and clerk will be chosen, and from that point, the governing board president and others who will be part of these procedures and processes will begin the process of providing an opportunity for those people in the community who are interested to go through the process. So stay tuned. We'll get this information out to you as soon as we receive it from the Maricopa County Educational Service Agency. So with that, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Boyle. Any questions for the superintendent? Thank you. Approval of consent.
I move the governing board approve consent agenda items A through D in accordance with policy BEPD-R.
Second.
And it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Our next item is Educational Services, the Community Engagement Presentation. Dr. Boyle?
Yes, this evening we have Max Bose and Brianna Vanelli from IWS who are here to present some information on their services as they are, I believe, under contract with the Ellis Foundation. Mr. Bose.
Thank you, Dr. Boyle. My name is Max Fost, and this is Brianna Ross now, who got married since the last time we were here presenting to you. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm going to briefly run through what we've done in the past 6 months through the Ellis Foundation. We have a total report that's online that I believe you all have access to that's somewhere between 80 and 100 pages, so if you have some free time to read over the weekend, please do that. So just recap, what we were tasked to do by Ellis was go out and see if we could build a community engagement project within the Creighton School District. And we're happy to report we believe you can. And a community engagement project that positively impacts the school district. We wanted to create a vehicle for parents in the community to connect with each other. Is it possible for the whole Creighton community to identify itself as Creighton? And we have some findings in that. It's a multi-phase approach. We just got through with the discovery phase, and the next phase is the development and implemented phase. Then can we achieve some political goals and identify benchmarks that we will present to Ellis and we'll sign off on? What we did is we went in and created a public opinion survey, and we went in and we did a telephone survey, and we have the results that aren't going to present today, but you can see all those. We had a hard time getting the telephone survey completed. Normally we shoot for 500 sample, and we had a hard time reaching that goal, and that told us something about the school district or the community. We did focus groups, both in English and Spanish. And those videos of the focus group are within the report. Dr. Boyle participated or watched one of them behind the screen, and it was very interesting. We learned a lot from the focus groups.
Max, were the surveys, public opinion surveys, they were telephone surveys?
Correct.
And were those in English and Spanish, or were they just English?
Just English with cell phones.
Okay.
So, and that was part of the problem, was the not being able to reach the Spanish speaking. We attempted to do that through the focus groups and also through some one-on-one interviews.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. The one-on-one interviews we went out and met with parents. We met with a lot of you. We met with educational leaders within the state. First Things First and Head Start. We tried to talk to business owners within the school district, and I'm happy to say everyone was welcoming and wanted us, to talk with us and give us their opinion, except for the business owners in the school district. They were very, what's in this for me? I got, 20 seconds of your time, and they were just a little standoffish. But we produced a report again, and then we have a plan for phase 2, which we are now putting together for Ellis. We've put the initial 2 drafts together. They keep giving us feedback, and we're going to present that in middle of December to them, and then hopefully they'll sign off on it, and we'll come and ask for your support. The findings that we found is the Creighton School District is in transition, and we say messy, and it's there's a lot going on and a lot positive going on, but it's still any transition is messy, just by definition. So the Spanish-speaking migration has had a huge impact. There's geographical challenge. We saw completely different people from the north to the south side of the district, and I don't think I'm telling you anything there that you don't ever know. Difference among schools. Senate Bill 1070 had a huge impact on the district, and people, I think, we heard it referred to as the law, when we were out interviewing people and in the focus groups. And so it's a big elephant in the room. There's progress in reading scores, and what we really found is that you have a story to tell that's so incredibly positive. And with Dr. Boyle, I haven't read that article yet, but I'll pick it up on, in the back of the room. There's an incredibly positive story to tell, and it's just not being told. We think if you tell that story, you can build some long-term community involvement and engagement, and it's part of, I believe you need to tell the story, and you need to tell it better. Again, the progress is recently unknown. You must tell your story. We looked at really 3 key audiences: is all parents, maybe a subsection is Latino parents, non-parents. We definitely in the focus groups, there was a lot of people who didn't have children, who didn't know that Creighton had really turned the corner and the scores were all up. And when you told them that, they were like, I didn't know that. And then the businesses, the what's in this for me kind of attitude that we got when we went and did the interviews and explained what we were doing. We need to break down that barrier. We need to beef up communications with parents directly to let them know how they can get involved. And then you need to use TV. One of the things that came out of the polling was the number one way people got their message was from TV. So TV, mobile and digital. The Hispanic market is a big mobile user and consumed through mobile. So using TV, mobile and digital media is the way to go. And we think telling your story through earned media, through the TV, through news stories and things like that would be a great benefit. Our recommendations is a long-term plan with buy-in of all stakeholders, including the Creighton School District, phases and 6 to 12-month phases that have goals that we can come back and report on, what we were successful, what we weren't. Bilingual, obviously, is a must, as Matt just said. Messaging, based on needs. We're going to evaluate all the processes, and we need to engage business, religious leaders, nonprofits, and other community-minded groups. And then we need to institutionalize progress. One of our big goals is retention of your student population, and then obviously growth of the student population past that, but the immediate one would be let's hold the line and then grow. We want to make this sustainable. If Ellis, their task to us is, can this be something that lives on beyond IWS's involvement? And the answer, I believe, is yes. We just need to create it for that. Long-term outreach programs need to be within a school-based activity within the 4 months started. We're looking at starting hopefully the 1st of January if everything lines up.
And what might that look like, school-based activity?
We haven't decided yet, but it's something that the school community, the community leaders, religious groups can participate in. It's some sort of activity to where it focuses, maybe not about education, but it uses the school as the backdrop to start building that community. And then identify opportunities at the school to provide content to local TV. Every time we talk, we were at the meeting a month and a half ago, and hearing the principals at each school tell their stories. They each have amazing stories to tell, and we want to help tell those stories, and tell it to the media, tell it to parents, tell it to non-parents, tell it to local businesses, and tell it to community leaders. And get your story out, because we believe you have a great story to tell, and people don't know about it. I want to be seen that, it's a two-way communication. We're not just, we can't do this alone. We need buy-in from everyone, so we need to listen and engage parents, residents, non-residents. We're going to start building those relationships. We're going to identify people around the Creighton School District, and when you see this as organizing one big school district, we see it as organizing in different pockets throughout the school district, because different pockets are going to have different needs. They're going to approach things differently, and we want to tap into that and use it as best we can. And then establish the Creighton sub-brand. That's what I mean by the different pockets. We're going to find people that are in the South that might respond to something, or might want to call their community engagement something different than they would, around Biltmore Prep. And so establish those sub-brands, but it's always going to be about the Creighton community. Again, the 6-month engagement, the outreach, parent outreach liaison. We want someone that's engaged with parents. We've talked about creating like a chamber of commerce. We're calling it an educational chamber of commerce that brings in, the businesses and the education community. And then, of course, digitizing all our communications so we can reach into those mobile outreach. What we're going to do is bring in two full-time people that are bilingual, that can work out of our office but be in the field in the Creighton community. Someone who can reach out to the businesses, our communication team. Then we're going to create a CreightonCommunity.org website where the report is on now. It's password protected. And you go up there, I believe you have all the information and view the report. But we see this as a hub that is a website that houses not only information about the Creighton School, but information about the Creighton community that people can go to and become a resource for everyone that lives here. Identify the parents. Again, work with your parent academic teams. This is more than I'm going to go through tonight. I'm just going to end it there. And that's the Creighton report. Again, it's CreightonCommunity.org. You can go there and look at the full report. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
I was actually excited to hear this part about the parent outreach.
Oh. Sorry.
And I can talk briefly
Sure.
to that. So one of the things we talked about doing is hiring someone that can work in partnership with IWS. Sorry. Work in partnership with IWS, the school itself, and the community. This person would be able to go, work with the APTT program and figure out what they can do outside of the actual school, how they can reach out to the parents further than what the school needs, what they might need in the community if they need support, in the housing area or in a church defined, being that connector to things outside of just the education piece. So that's our goal with that person. We also want to have an independent person that works solely with the businesses, someone that, maybe is already tied to the businesses that can reach out to the community. We found being in there that I don't live in the community. I have, I'm not the person that the community members, that the Latino parents want to talk to. They want someone they can trust that's, kind of connected to them already.
Mhm.
So those are the kind of people that we're looking for, and that we're going to reach out to you guys to see who you have that can help us, find that right connector.
Okay. Thank you.
Are these people volunteers? Are they people that are hired through IWS?
Yeah, they're both. They're, you know, we plan on having people on staff that will go out and be in the field to do this, but also, I mean, this needs to be a more organic thing that
Right.
helps create and recruit people, and by no means it's a one-way, as, hey, here's how you build a community. What we find when we go in and do projects like this is you find advocates in the field that they can then run with the ball, and, you know, you need to start it, you know, someone needs to start it, and paid people are the best way to do that, and you find people that have a connection that want to do this and run with it, and that's what I mean by the sustainability long term. It will be sustainable if there's people that aren't getting paid to do it.
Right. And I have some business owners that you can talk to.
That would be great, because we really ran into, you know, and maybe we just knocked down the wrong businesses. Yeah, so.
I can see that. I think I understand what you're saying.
First of all, will we be provided the password, I assume, to Creighton Community? Okay.
Correct.
Great. And Dr. Boyle, is that something that'll be emailed to us, or is that our?
We can do that.
Yeah, I can send it to you
Okay.
guys
Okay.
tomorrow.
Excellent. And then what we're talking about here is broader than just advertising, although I think that's something that we, and I don't know if this is a question or just my musings, but I'm not sure that we have been as effective as possible. We did, and I don't know if you're familiar, that we did a kind of a poll of the district done by Paul Yulin, probably 2009. And that, I don't know, did you refer to that at all, or are you aware of that?
Yeah, we saw the poll, we saw the results of the poll, and we used it to base some of the questions we asked in our updated survey. And we know Paul very well. So.
Good. So there weren't any surprises from that to this where you would look at data and say, you know, something changed in 3 years or 2 years, or?
Well, I think what's changed is what you've done. You know, and what we found is I mean, people just don't know about it as well as we believe they should. So.
I think one of the things what I'm thinking about in there was it did talk about how people knew about us. The Creighton Communicator, surprisingly, was one of the higher ways that people knew about us, but I'm not entirely sure that we always use it as effectively as we could to tell a story, especially to tell it in terms that people will actually read it, rather than say, with all due respect, maybe education wonk speak, that we need to get out there and talk to people in their own language rather than ours. I know a lot of other districts do a lot of recruiting or a lot of advertising in community newspapers. That's something that we have an issue with here in Creighton. We have areas where there isn't a local section of the Arizona Republic even. In those of us who live east of 32nd Street get the Scottsdale section. And then there are those in certain zip codes who get the Phoenix section, and there are others who get no local section. We don't have some areas get the North Central News and the Arcadia News, but those are kind of the periphery of the district. So we don't, but I do see a lot of ads going outside the district to try to get parents to open enroll. I know that movie theaters, sometimes you go to a movie theater and you'll see ads that run before the movies. So I know there's a lot being done by a lot of districts, but it sounds like what you are doing really is not, certainly not looking at recruitment of just going out and recruiting, but looking to build sort of our schools within our community, within our boundaries more.
Well, we believe correct, the first part would be that. And one of the ideas we came out with that we didn't include in the report was creating a newsletter, creating a newsletter, or newspaper, excuse me, that, and it's just, for budget reasons, it was too expensive, because we saw that need as well. We believe that the earned media story, and by creating a community, it will go outside of Creighton. So not only will it have a positive impact inside of Creighton, we believe it'll have a positive impact outside of Creighton. At the Ellis board meeting a week ago, they talked about the advertising and said, could you make that part of your plan to work with Creighton on how to advertise better use the resources you're already using with the newsletter and other things to do it better? And would that be something, that's what we do. And so would that be something we'd be willing to do? And absolutely, it's gonna be part of our final plan to them. And if you're open to it, we'd be more than willing to sit down and, one of the things we talked about is rebranding, and I think we talked to Dr. Boyle about, is Creighton the right name? Do you need to rebrand that? And, she said, well, the right guy. And she went into the whole history of Creighton, so
Yeah.
it made sense not to even go there. So.
And I also, one of the other things I noticed, every weekday morning I drive by, in my case, the Larry C. Kennedy school, and a lot of people who I know are community on Osborne also go by Monte Vista, and several of our schools are on streets that have marquees where you kind of have a little bit of a captive audience, assuming people actually slow down for a school zone. You can actually read it, and I know I see things, and I think I've noticed at LCK in particular, Mr. Gutierrez and Mr. Hannafin, I don't see here, but I know it was certainly the case when he was there, that there's a lot of good promotion of the schools. But I think that's not something that's district-wide, and I certainly understand that I don't want to take away any autonomy from principals, but it does seem that there may be some messaging training that, it's not just, parents remember to be on time at 7:25, which is certainly important because we know, if kids get to school on time and are there, they're more likely to learn. But our audience is not just parents driving by. Our audience is the community.
Right.
And I think we need to do a better job of pressing that as well.
Yeah, we looked at Tempe. I think it was Tempe does a very good job at recruitment, or has before. And we looked at the Madison School District and what they put on their signs, and it's always school starts tomorrow, but it's always some recruitment tool or something that's clearly a message for the community at large, not just parents that are driving into particular drop-off districts.
The other districts you've worked with, have they also not had a communications director or, a marketing team? That's something we haven't had in place. We haven't had the funding for it. Something we've discussed. It's come up over the years. I just wanted to see how we compare to other districts.
Yeah, when we looked into it, a lot of them don't. But you look at schools that.
Well, Tempe and Scottsdale had one brought in the last 5 years, and that's when their enrollment started to get the big push.
And so Ellis has pushed back to us, well, could you produce a return on investment for the Creighton School District if they were to move forward? And this was last week, so we probably haven't talked, but what would be the return on investment if they funded a post like this? And what we're seeing is there would be a return on investment, we believe, in retention and then growth of the student population.
How would that affect the organic part of involving people in the community and having them take some onus and helping market or brand our district?
Yeah, I think the organic thing you look at incredibly large successful campaigns, and I'll use the presidential one, with Obama and what he's done to create this grassroots movement. And if you look at really early on, what he did was he created that, whatever it was, by paying and by buying it and putting paid professionals in the right position to spark it and to manage it as it took off. And then obviously it takes off and it is organic. But you look at most, and they're usually created by something, or some paid effort, or some paid effort once it gets going to keep it going, and then it keeps going. And so I believe it needs to be paid, and the paid part should be the small part. At the beginning, it would be the large, and then a year from now, 2 years from now, it should be a very small part of the entire organization that's out there.
And one of the things that we talked about that we found in doing research about community engagement and growth is you have to have that key person, the paid person, that's almost forced to get the group together. I'm gonna get in. I'm gonna ask the church leader. I'm gonna ask the parent leader. I'm gonna ask the school board leader to get together in a room, get them talking. But if there's not that person to get them together, they're never going to talk about the issues. And so, that could be one of the, you had asked about what could be held at the schools. Use your school as the hub. It gets people in the door. And once they're talking, they're going to naturally break into their own, what they think is relevant, a topic to tackle. So,
Because my fear is that, this is fantastic. I'm really excited. I just want to make sure that it's sustainable. And I don't know that having a paid person is the answer, but I've seen it in the past as being a disadvantage to us because there's not someone constantly focusing on the big picture and what we're trying to achieve and driving it like you're talking about.
Yeah, I think that paid person, in our experience, that will be our job for the foreseeable future, for how long Ellis decides to keep us employed. But that will be our job, to keep it focused and keep it moving and to keep providing the resources to the volunteers and people that are in the field, whether they're paid or non-paid, to keep this going. And those resources are content, right? And it's how to get that content out, whether it's about the school district or about the community or content to businesses so they see the value in participating in the community. And that's going to be our constant job, to create that content. And the great news again is you have that content, for the foreseeable future. You have that content, and something is going to happen. Well, get out there that is going to, we're going to catch lightning in a bottle, and it's going to explode in a positive way to where, everyone says, oh, this is a valuable resource, and that infrastructure is going to be there to take advantage of that opportunity.
So for now, IWS will be the driver,
Correct.
but we don't know for how
I should
long.
say Ellis will be the driver,
Ellis.
and we will be there with you. So,
Okay, thank you.
for the record.
I have another question about earned media, going back to the fact that, well, TV is, as you said, is a very important one, and local community papers, we don't really have much in the way of anyway. I look at like Tucson Unified School District, a smaller media market with a much, much bigger school district. It's not difficult for them to get media, sometimes always not the media they want, in local and national outlets. How do we in the city, in just Phoenix Union, there are 13 feeder districts, and that's just, Phoenix Union is not even, a majority of it's only part of the city of Phoenix, which is just part of the metropolitan area. In a huge media market that we have in terms of television and radio, how do you get earned media for a little school district?
You create it. You prepackage the story. You document the story, and then you take it from a white paper down to 30-minute, something that you can tell, down to 3 minutes, down to 30 seconds, and you prepackage that story so.
Do the work for them.
No, the media's not here, but the media's, a lot of them are lazy, and so you need to prepackage that story as much as possible so where they can, it's very quick to tell it, and we want to tell it. And the story you have is a great story, and so we want to tell it. And it's not just the TV, but you want to influence blogs, and you want to influence parent blogs, and you want to influence the social media, and that's all engaging in that content and in that discussion. And believe it or not, that impacts the TV, because the reporters and the producers are all on social media. They're all on their Facebook. And then when they see this story, and we have relationships with all of them, around town. So we're going to pre-package the story. You're going to sign off on it. We're going to, whoever involved, we're going to train. How this is what we need to say. This is the sound bite that comes from the survey. And we're going to pitch that story, and we're going to keep pitching it until it gets told again and again and again.
And you're right on them being on, just as a quick anecdote, I used to have a blog before I decided I didn't really have time for that. But I never thought, no one's going to read this. It's just my way of, putting something out there until one day I got a call from the Arizona Capital Times saying, so I read in your blog that this is your feeling about, such and such a thing. Is this common among, so yeah, definitely true.
And in that point, it's a lot of hard work, and it's a lot of deliberate work to get it to pay off.
Okay.
But again, you have a great story. We need to tell it. We need to package it to where they will understand it and they will run with it.
Max, can you just give me a little preview on the findings? Looking at this bullet you have on Senate Bill 1070, which I don't think is the elephant in the room. I think it's something we're talking about all the time. And I'm wondering how that reflects on our schools and how people think about our schools when And I'm just curious what, I just want a preview.
Yeah, I think it was more about the community and not directly related to the schools.
Okay.
And the community probably at large, the state of Arizona. So when people were thinking about it, they were thinking about the state and then their local community. And we saw, a lot of families get up and leave. I mean, one of, I don't know if it was in the focus group, yeah, it wasn't, but where they said half their block just got up and left one night. And so they saw that as a very negative influence on their community. And so that we call it the elephant in the room maybe because it's not politically correct to talk about. So it was, that kind of feedback that we were getting from the interviews and from the focus groups of people for a half a block leaves. I mean, that has a negative impact on everything from not only school district, from now you have vacant houses, from the electrical company. I mean, it's, the negative effect is felt by all. So it was that kind of feedback. So maybe it wasn't about the school, it was just more about the community.
Got it. Thank you. Wonderful. Any other questions, comments?
Thank you for all your hard work.
Thank
I'm really excited.
Thanks again, and have a great Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
All right. Our next item under